All right, all you little young whippersnappers, gather around, because I got something to tell you about this time before all them smartphones ruled the world. I'm talking about this time before you could carry that phone in your pocket. That idea was pure science fiction. It's back in our day, we had these things called payphones. You know, imagine it, a phone permanently stuck in all public places. There were no apps or touch screens, just a receiver with a dial pad. That's it, just some buttons to push. You can make calls, but only if you had change in order to pay for that call. Now, the idea of having to carry shit around in order to pay for your phone call is pretty wild, isn't it? Now, these payphones, they were everywhere. I mean, you had to carry some change to stay connected, but not always. I mean, they were on the street corners, the gas stations, malls, you name it. They were like the Wi-Fi hotspots of our time. I mean, payphones were as ubiquitous as Starbucks are today. I mean, you couldn't walk a block without seeing one. And as for all of us, Gen X, our payphones were our lifeline to the outside world. I mean, we didn't have the luxuries of the instant messaging and all this social media crap that's out there today. Before cell phones, I mean, if you needed to make a call while you were out, the payphone was your only option. Because the dicks behind the counter in the store wouldn't let you use their phone for free because everywhere had a payphone. So you had to know where they were located. I mean, it really is how we stay connected. For better or worse, it was a different world. One where you had to actually plan ahead just to make a simple phone call. Now, I know what you're thinking. This sounds absolutely crazy. What if someone needed to get a hold of you? How did we manage, without this instant communication, be able to text somebody right away or call everybody at the moment and tell them where you were, message them or Snapchat them? Well, you see, you're right. It wasn't always convenient, and sometimes it was a little downright frustrating. But it was also this certain freedom to it. I mean, we weren't constantly reachable, so we had these times to ourselves, things where you could do things uninterrupted and hang out with your friends and not be bothered by all this other outside crap all the time. There was no nagging text messages, no social media notifications, no endless emails constantly making your phone go bzz, bzz, bzz. Our minds were definitely less cluttered. So that made us free to roam and to explore and to get lost in the moment. I mean, adventures for us were spontaneous and unplanned 99% of the time. We were present in a way that seemed almost impossible today. We truly connected with each other, with our friends, with other people out in the world. It wasn't done through this tiny little device. And at that time, there was no such thing as the dead battery excuse. I mean, we didn't have to worry about charging our phone or having a charger with us or getting home before the phone died. And if you needed to reach someone, you found the payphone, you popped in your coins, and you made it happen. It was as simple as that. Life like that built character, or at least that's what we told ourselves. I mean, these were the days of actual true outside independence. I mean, and these payphones also played a very pivotal role in our social lives. I mean, remember when you wanted to sit there and we were much younger and you wanted to ask someone out on a date? I mean, you had to work up the courage to call their house phone. You had to risk the embarrassment of their parents answering the phone first. And I mean, and if you were lucky enough to connect with your crush, whoever that was, you could hear the judgment of everyone around you as you were spilling your guts out in public on the payphone and all your friends are standing there, people at the till paying for stuff. It was mortifying. But at the same time, it was kind of exhilarating, but yet completely unavoidable. And these shared experiences, these moments of vulnerability and connection are what made payphones so special. They were a public forum for our private lives, and they played a crucial role in shaping who we are today, believe it or not. Payphones actually played a role in who we've become. And payphones weren't just a communication tool. They were cultural icons. I mean, think about it. They stood as silent sentinels on street corners, in parks, and in busy city centers. I mean, how many movies or TV shows feature a dramatic payphone scene? Countless of them. I mean, Clark Kent ducking into the payphone, transforming into Superman. I mean, it's an image etched into our collective memory. The suspense of waiting for a call on a shadowy street corner in a film noir. The tension, I mean, it's palpable. Payphones were everywhere in our media, reflecting their importance in our daily lives. They were more than just devices. They were symbols of connection. They were so ingrained in our society that there was even specific etiquette and rules for using them. There were all these unwritten rules about the payphone. Like you never, ever listened in on someone else's conversation. I mean, it was just simple respect of their privacy. It was just plain rude and everyone knew it. And if the phone rang while you were using it, you answered. I mean, that in itself was an unspoken rule because you never knew who might be on the other end. It could be a friend, could be a family member, or even a stranger with an urgent message for somebody else in the building. But of course, all good things must come to an end. And the rise of the cell phone through the 90s and into the 2000s marked the beginning of the end for the humble payphone. I mean, suddenly we could carry our phones with us everywhere we went. There was no more scrambling for change. There was no more awkward conversations. I mean, the convenience of the cell phone is undeniable. And cell phones slowly became more affordable and ubiquitous. I mean, payphones, they began to disappear from our streets, from our stores, from our malls. And when that happened, so did a little piece of our shared history. I mean, today payphones are definitely a rare sight. They are a relic of a bygone era. But for those of us who grew up with them, they hold a special place in our hearts. They represent that time when life was simpler, when we were less connected, but we were more present. They remind us of the days when we had to work a little harder for the connection. So the next time you see a payphone, take a moment, appreciate its legacy. It's a reminder of a time when things were a little bit different, a little bit slower, and maybe, just maybe, a little bit more human.